to build a network is more than just building a show. Like, start there, start small. It can always grow from there. And to surround yourself with the people that will not only back you up, but challenge you to push for that something greater that you're aspiring to do. It all starts with ideas. Everybody has a story to share.
Welcome to Continuing Studies, a podcast for higher education podcasters to learn and get inspired. I'm Neil McFedrin, founder of Podium Podcast Company and Higher Ed Pods.
And I'm Jennifer Lee, founder of JPod Creations. Podcasting is broadcasting. We want you to know you're not alone. In fact, there are many of you higher ed podcasters out there, and we can all learn from each other.
You got it, Jen. And before we jump into this episode, I would just encourage you all to join the higher education podcaster community at higheredpods.com. We continue to add on more podcasts there. It's amazing how we just keep finding more podcasts and it just keeps growing and it's turning into more and more of a robust directory of higher education podcasts.
I remember when you started with a handful of podcasts, and now we have a huge community.
There is over 1,200 higher education podcasts in there now. So in this episode, we are chatting with Ryan Record. Ryan is the podcast network manager at Howard Community College, which is in Maryland. And the actual network itself is called Dragon Media Podcasts because Dragon is the college's mascot. So that's why that's called Dragon Media Podcasts. Ryan's had quite the journey. So he is now the podcast network manager. He's recently taken over that full managerial responsibility. He actually started as an intern and then he was the assistant manager and now he's the manager. So he's got a big job there because there's 8 podcasts in the network. I think what's interesting about this conversation is last episode, we chatted with Dee Patel about the Wharton podcast network. And so staying on the network theme here, what is interesting about this is from a community college. So a different kind of network. Like this network is very much more the grassroots. It's part of the community. There's a large component that's for the students and for the community. So it's a different sort of purpose. And I think that really is interesting in our conversation that we have with Ryan.
Yeah, and I really like how they vet the network. They really vet it. And then not only that, I asked them the question, if someone has a great podcast idea, do they have to be connected to the university? And I was shocked that you don't, because a lot of them you do. So we're going to get into that in just a second.
Let's get into it. Hello, Ryan. Thanks for joining us on the Continuing Studies podcast.
It's an honor and pleasure to be here. Thanks for having me.
Wonderful. So you have a lot going on there on the podcast front. From what I understand, actually, let's just start at you've just taken on a whole new role. You're now the network manager. Maybe we should start there and just sort of let us know just about your new role and what does that all mean?
Yeah, so stepping into the role as manager of Dragon Podcasts is a dream come true for me as somebody that was an intern here years ago. My mentor, Matt, who was the manager that just left, laid out like a really solid creative foundation for me to jump in and thrive, really. So I'm hitting the ground running, 8 shows that I oversee. Yeah, it's just really exciting time to be around, man.
Yeah, congratulations. And I have to say, so I met Matt at, of course, the Higher Ed PodCon, and you guys were wearing badges that just said Dragon Podcast. So what is the Dragon Podcast Network?
We're the Dragons because we're the Howard Community College Dragons. It's our mascot. So, yeah, Dragon Podcasts is a branch under Dragon Media, which is a branch under the college's press and marketing division. Now, I do get a lot of creative freedom to create some of my own concepts. I run a student life-oriented show, but we also have some shows with faculty members, not just at the college, but also other universities. So it's really created a community beyond the community college to really bring in some higher ed ideas.
Well, that's great. So How big is Howard Community College? Because that's a pretty big podcast network that, and we've come across a few of them, but that is very commendable to have built it up to 8 podcasts.
Yeah, I mean, as far as community colleges go, Howard Community College is definitely on the bigger end of the spectrum. I believe we currently have about 30,000 students. Now,
Wow.
they don't all come to campus. A lot of that is online as well.
Hmm.
But we are a rather large school that's still growing. Like, we're currently building an apprenticeship program building. They're going to run 12 different apprenticeships. We just finished a new gym. We have a new STEM building, a new health science building. It's really exciting time to be a dragon in Howard Community College.
Love it.
Can you tell us a little bit about what some of the podcasts are about?
Wow. I mean, where to start? One of my personal favorites is a podcast called Bookish, which is done by 3 faculty members in the English program here. One of them just went to Towson University. Is still a member of the podcast, but it is one of our most listened to podcasts. If you ever want to get the in on like a new book that came out, or we just finished up like their summer reading wrap up, it's really an amazing podcast to just immerse yourself in the world of novels and short stories, anything in between. We run a movie podcast where 2 faculty in the film department sit down and talk about new movies they see. And their dynamic is truly wonderful. It's like the yin and yang. Like, one's always like glass half full, the other's always half glass empty. That's a fun listen. My personal podcast is called Dragon Talk. Like I mentioned, it's a student life oriented program where I like to get student voices involved. Like, I interviewed the SGA. We're working on collaborating with the cybersecurity department because we got a huge grant to build up our cybersecurity program. We also work in the community with a couple people that are part of the Howard County Health Department. So we have a show called HOCO Health, and we'll talk about anything from drug overdose prevention to signs of menopause and how to deal with it. We have so many shows to check out, but those are just some of my favorite ones.
That's great. That's a real breadth as well, too. So maybe sort of take a step back and tell us, what was the genesis of the network? I see this, and Jen and I have talked about this a number of times on the show, and we've talked to a few others where a university or a college has a network, and we see a ton of positive reasons to do it. But curious, what was the genesis of the Dragon Podcast Network?
Yeah, I'm glad you asked. The genesis was kind of like a chocolate chip cookie. You just got the ingredients came together at the right time.
I love it.
If you can find a silver lining in COVID, like COVID times, it's the genesis of Dragon Podcasts. We were running a digital radio station before, which is what I wasn't a member of the internship team with. And that was a lot of fun. But as you know, with podcasts, you can kind of tune in whenever, listen asynchronously. So we were losing listenership as a digital radio station. And that's when we made the leap to just become a podcast network instead. We had all these great shows we could just carry over from those times and keep running. So that was really the start of it all.
Was the digital radio station part of a program within the college?
Yeah, it was a branch under Dragon Media, right?
Okay.
So we rebranded ourselves as a podcast network as opposed to a digital radio station. So the radio station is dead. It's been reborn as Dragon Podcasts.
That makes a lot of sense. I really like that evolution. So, yeah, I mean, the radio side of it, for other colleges who have more of a terrestrial radio station, and what we're seeing is some of those are under fiscal constraint, and it makes so much sense to pull podcasting in. But yours was a digital radio station, and then the evolution was into podcasting. That makes a lot of sense, especially your point about asynchronous listening. I mean, that's the beauty of podcasting.
Exactly. And if you look at a Venn diagram between like podcasts and radio shows, there's a lot of intersection there. It's very similar, but it's easier to just jump in and listen to a podcast whenever you want instead of tuning in at 5:30 specifically to hear the show you want to hear, especially if you're busy.
Right. So maybe just give us a little bit more insight into how the network connects to and operates within the school, within the community college.
Yeah, I mean, we're pretty intertwined in a lot of the activities going on, not just with students, but faculty, the higher ups as well. Like, The PRM, the press and marketing division, they'll often give us directives like, hey, we would like an episode made about this, which is great because it gives me like an idea to run with. But then they give me the creative freedom to really produce a show that I think encompasses what they're looking for, if that makes sense. So, I mean, we're pretty involved on social media. I'm trying to get my hands a little dirtier in that department. Now I'm in charge of the Instagram page and the Facebook and the YouTube, and to maintain the engagement that Matt has built, because that was one of his fortes. Like, he's a social media wizard. Really, I mean, we're involved with clubs, the athletics department. We're making a new show with them. Our tentacles are intertwined in many parts of the college, and our mission is to get more engagement, get more people in the know as to like what's going on here at Howard Community College.
Obviously, these networks take some time and it's not just one person to build it. Can you tell us a little bit about the other people on your team, unless it's all you?
Well, currently I have my director, Karen, and we're a branch under the media department. But ultimately, we answer to the people in press and marketing. It really falls on me right now to be the creative outlet, which is great. And I'm up for the challenge. But we're still looking to fill my old role as the assistant manager. I'm working on getting some student interns on here so they can get hands-on experience. So we're moving in a direction where it will be more of a cohesive team bonding experience.
And so what's the process for bringing a new show into the network? Like, does that all come out of your group, or do faculty, et cetera, approach you with ideas?
It's all of the above, and there is a heavy vetting process. So ultimately, we look at, is this show going to be educational, and how will it benefit the wider community? A couple months ago, we welcomed a new show into our network, working with a professor with Loyola University. Her show is called Essential Pause, Leading and Living with Intention. It's a mouthful of a title, but it has been a wonderful podcast about mindfulness, finding your inner Zen, if you will. Just engage with what's going on. So back to your initial question, what is the vetting process like? You can approach us with an idea. It all starts there. But we got to bring it up the ladder to the right people that can be like signing off on, yep, the show meets our criteria to be on the network. Is it educational? Does it benefit the community? Is really what we're looking for in a show.
Do you have to be a student or associated with Howard Community College to be part of the network?
No. Like I said, we deal with some faculty that work at other colleges and universities as well. In the higher ed field, because we get so siloed in our own like networks to where, oh, we're only representing this college. But at Howard Community College, we're really building that sense of community.
You're leaning into the community part of the community college.
Exactly.
It's really neat because usually when we talk to most universities, you have to be connected somehow to the campus. And then that's why when a lot of these people move on to different careers or they're students and they leave and they graduate, the podcasts either stop or they have other people come on, and maybe sometimes it doesn't gel because they're not the original people that did it. So I really think it's unique that you're bringing a lot of diverse voices to the campus.
Agreed. And that's kind of the magic behind it.
It's obvious from the outside and what you've shared that podcasting is a key channel for engagement for Howard Community College. How's awareness created? How's discovery built for the network itself, but also the shows within it, within the campus? And I guess, back to my community comment there, outside and beyond the Howard Community College.
Yeah, great question. I mean, it does start within the campus. A little shameless self-promotion goes a long way. Putting QR codes up on bulletin boards so people can
Good idea.
tune into our shows on the campus. But also, working with people from other colleges goes a long way as well. Hey, check out my podcast. And before you know it, everybody at Taos and everybody at Loyola is listening to this podcast as well. And I was looking at our listener demographics. We use Podbean to upload all of our episodes, and it kind of tells you where your listeners are coming from.
Mm-hmm.
We're like international. It's crazy. Like we got people in Indonesia and Malaysia checking out the podcast, people in Europe, Africa even. It's nuts. Like the expanse of what we're doing here. It's more than just our little town of Columbia. It's becoming an international phenomenon.
I think that's what's really great about podcasting is that voice beyond the campus and, your example there around the world. I was actually just attending a symposium last week at NYU, and one of the panel discussions was, can podcasting save the university? And I think at the heart of it is, part of that was using podcasting as an academic tool beyond just the written word. But the other part of it is this way and this voice for academia directly from the campus. And I think that's really what you're seeing in your analytics.
I would agree. Yeah.
What would be some tips for someone thinking, hey, I want to build my own network because they're not that easy to build?
I mean, to build a network is more than just building a show. Like, start there, start small. It can always grow from there. And to surround yourself with the people that will not only back you up, but challenge you to push for that something greater that you're aspiring to do. It all starts with ideas. Everybody has a story to share, and finding those stories, getting the meat of those stories. Because I'm sure you guys sit down after recording these interviews, and sometimes you can be like, well, we have like over an hour of material here, but really the meat of it is about half an hour. So finding like what really clicks is crucial, because you got to think like from a listener standpoint, what do they want to hear? What's going to challenge their ideas about certain beliefs they might have? What's going to give them a new perspective? Like those kind of ideas go a long way, and just creating a cohesive narrative.
So you must have senior leadership buy-in to put budget behind this, and obviously that buy-in to build a network like that. Sort of curious what that looks like at Howard.
We're lucky to be at a public institution that gets public funds, and the higher offices kind of determine what our budget is, and that's what we have to work with. That's a blessing, because most people in podcasts don't have a budget to start with.
That's right.
So that comes with time, that comes with the buy-in, the investment into the idea. But yeah, absolutely blessed to have that backing us right now.
That's great. Back to Jen's question of tips for building other networks. I would imagine that's a key one. If you don't have that senior leadership buy-in, it's hard to push these things forward.
Precisely. Yeah, it is huge. And like I said, it's not something that everybody has.
Yeah. You mentioned it's partially out of the media department. So I presume is that at the school level? Like that's the internal media department, or is that actually like a department that's teaching media skills? And then you also said it's the college PR team as well too. So
Right.
Okay, help me understand. Are those two different teams working together?
Yes, it's actually 3 different teams.
Okay.
So as the podcast network, I'm a branch under Dragon Media.
Mhm.
Dragon Media is a branch under the press and marketing division. Now, Dragon Media, that's its whole own team. We run a TV station here as well. I believe we have 2 public access stations going. We have
Oh.
a studio specifically for television. So that's kind of what Dragon Media started as. Years ago, they're like, hey, let's make a digital radio station. And now we're here making podcasts as well.
I think that's great because, we'll typically come across an either or, not necessarily those two things put together, where you've got the media arm of the institution, which typically has students learning, that's all part of it, that's all built in. And then you've got this separate team typically, which is the comms team, the PR team, and they've got a budget and it usually comes out of that. But I like how what you're saying is those two things have been put together. So you've got that engine of the actual media team and the students and everything around that, but then it's also plugged into and part of this overarching Howard Community College comms PR team as well.
Precisely. Yeah, the PR team's kind of like the brain, and we're the motor that keeps it going.
I think that's a really good insight for our listeners that might be sort of trying to figure out how to navigate this. They've got 1 or 2 podcasts under their purview. They're really looking to move forward with this network idea. If there is a college radio station on your campus or a department where media is being taught, put it together with the school's comms team, marketing team as well, is a good way to move forward. And here's an example where this is a very engaged, large podcast network. You can see the power of putting those things together.
Networks are becoming more common, and it's something we see at the Higher Ed PodCon conference. Ryan, being at the first Higher Ed PodCon, was there anything that you learned to strengthen your network or strengthen the shows that you work on or consult on?
Absolutely. That whole experience was invaluable to honing our crafts, networking first and foremost. That was invaluable. The ins and outs of recording, how are you going to stand out? Also, the social media aspect. There were so many bright minds there to get all these amalgamations of perspectives crammed into one day. My brain was overflowing with knowledge by the end of it. But what an enlightening experience that was. And I can't wait for the second one. It's in Cleveland, I believe.
Cleveland, yeah. And it's going to be 2 days. We've just opened up early bird registration today. We're recording this on in middle of October here. So yeah, thank you so much for sharing that. I want to circle back to social media. You talked a little bit about it earlier on in our conversation, but curious the role that social media plays within the network's ecosystem. You had mentioned there was a specific Instagram account for the network. Maybe you could sort of tease that apart for us and see us tell an insight there.
Of course. So our social media, like I said, we have an Instagram, a Facebook. I believe we have a Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it. It's really important for outreach, engagement once again, but also calls to action, like what we have going on. There's always events happening at school, and just to kind of cross promote those through different channels goes a long way to getting engagement for these different things going on.
Sticking on social media, you mentioned also that you learned something specifically about social media and podcasting at the Higher Ed PodCon conference. What is it, and do you implement it with your existing social media strategy?
Yeah, absolutely. It's just consistency, really. Continued outreach is what's going to get you those hits, those likes, those follows. That's what's going to get you in the algorithms to stay in people's feeds. I have a mission here. It's called Wednesday Podcast, where we post a podcast every Wednesday. But really, I'm trying to make it an everyday kind of thing. We have so many podcasts. I could post a show every day of the week. I could have calls to action as to keep your eyes out for this. We have something coming up, things that are interesting. Like I said, I'm kind of a novice when it comes to the whole social media thing, but I guess what I really walked away with from the PodCon was consistency.
Great. And then how does cross promotion work from between the podcasts? So say I stumble across the Green Dragon show. Do you have sort of ways that for each of the shows to refer back to the network? Because if I, for example, have come across and my discovery point was the Green Dragon show, if I listen to that, am I going to know, oh, there's other Dragon podcasts out there?
Absolutely. I mean, with our tag-ins and tag-outs, we want folks to know that we do more than just this one show. If you're liking this show, there's probably some other shows in the network you're going to like as well. So once again, a little shameless self-promotion, but also I want to start interjecting some inner ads just to promote the network as well. All right, let's cut for a quick break. And then we have a specific advertisement, say for the Razzle Dazzle show or what have you.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. Using the dynamic ad insertion tool, but from a house ad perspective, you could create that and you play those across all of the shows. I think it's a really good idea. And then as well, you have your website. So that's a central point within the Howard Community College web ecosystem, but there's a specific section in there with all the podcasts as well. So that's sort of a central point, I would imagine. You drive people there to discover all of the shows.
Absolutely. And in addition to that, our college president puts out an update once a week. She always plugs our shows in there. We have a monthly newsletter where everybody that subscribes gets the in on all the new shows we just made the following month. So yeah, things like that really go a long way.
I always tell people this is great. Start with what you have. If you already have a base and an audience like a podcast network, use it. don't compete against it. And sometimes we're like, oh, well, I want to be unique and different. It's like, no, let's cross promo. Let's build each other up, because once we build each other up, we'll have a powerful tool. That being said, Ryan, I don't know if it's a fair question to ask you, but what is your favorite show on the network?
That's tough because I want to say it's my show, right? It's the one I make. I won 2 platinum awards. I won a .com award. I won a MapCom award. It feels good to get recognition, especially as somebody that is new in the sphere, that like, hey, people are listening and they think it's pretty good. But, I'm going to stick with my original answer from earlier in the interview. I like Bookish, the casual book club podcasts. They just have such a great chemistry and dynamic with each other. They're like naturals. You'd think they've been doing it for 10 years, but I think they've only been doing it for like 2 or 3. So if I'm going to plug any show, get out there, listen to Bookish. Whether you like reading books or not, you will find it entertaining.
It's such a good idea for a show coming out of an English department too. I mean, it just
Right.
feels like a natural thing to do. For, in this case, I think you said it was 3 profs that do that. Like, that's a really clever idea that every English department should almost do. So any sort of final, I know we asked you about a couple of tips, but any sort of additional tips that you would share? I think that, as I said, I truly believe that networks are such a great opportunity for, all those reasons you just gave a couple of minutes ago about just how they can promote each other, cross promote and all that kind of stuff. But sort of any other tips that you would share for any of our listeners out there that are about to embark upon creating a network on their campus?
Absolutely. Some wise words a professor told me years ago that has gone a really long way for myself is take care of those that take care of you. That's what's going to create the team experience. When you take care of those that take care of you, you're going to find that your job is a lot easier. You're going to have the resources you need to get things done and get them done right. So always just be looking out for those that are looking out for you.
I love that.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, I think that is a really good thing that I find that what is great about the podcast industry overall is I think there's a lot of people out there that are super helpful and really willing to help each other. And that's a good spot to leave it at, I think, with our conversation today. I think that's a good wise tip. Thank you so much for joining us today, Ryan. That's
Thank you, guys. Pleasure's all mine. Have a good one.
Well, another awesome conversation there. I enjoyed further getting into this whole podcast network conversation and sort of digging into the ins and the outs of the Dragon Media podcast network. What a robust network, and just really interesting how podcasting is such a key channel for the Howard Community College.
It is. And it just goes to show you, it doesn't matter if you're a community college, if you're a larger institute, podcasting works for many purposes.
That's right. Well, Jen, why don't you read us out?
There we go. Thank you for tuning in to the Continuing Studies Podcast, a podcast for higher education podcasters. We hope you found this episode informative and inspiring. If you enjoyed the show, we encourage you to follow and subscribe to our podcast on your preferred platform so you'll never miss an episode. But if you found this episode particularly valuable, please consider sharing it with your friends and colleagues who also might be interested in higher education podcasts. We also invite you to join your peers on higheredpods.com, where you can connect with other podcasters in higher education and learn from others in the field. Thank you for being part of our community. We look forward to connecting to bring you valuable insights and conversations around higher education podcasts. See you in the next episode.